Khloe was cornered in the alley behind the school by Kyle and his friends. I jumped in to protect her, desperate to pull her out of danger, and in the chaos of that fight, I accidentally crippled him. In court, she lied. She committed perjury and helped put me behind bars for 10 years on an aggravated assault charge. The day I walked out of prison, the first thing I did was look for her, half furious, half aching with the need to hear her say why. I found her in Kyle's arms, wrapped around him like nothing had ever happened. "If it wasn't for you, King wouldn't be in a wheelchair," she sneered. "How could you be so vicious? You should have just rotted in that cell." It was then I learned the truth. My heroic rescue had only ever been a nuisance, a roadblock to their twisted little romance. In that moment, blinded by rage, I opened the gas line. I took them both with me. And then everything went white. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that same day, the day Khloe was cornered in the alley. "Leo, let's walk home together after school." I was sitting in the back of the classroom, staring in a daze at a bright, smiling Khloe Vance. In my last life, everything had begun just like this, Khloe suddenly asking to walk home together. It ended with Kyle Kingston and his guys trapping us in the alley. Khloe had curled up in a corner shaking, begging me to save her. I tried, and it left me broken on the pavement. Then came the lawsuit from Kyle's family, the charge, the sentence. I never expected Khloe would lie on the stand, telling the jury she and Kyle had just been friends hanging out, that I had attacked him out of nowhere. 10 years. 10 years in prison. When I finally got out, I found her and Kyle living together. And all they had for me was contempt. "If it wasn't for you, I would have gotten together with King ages ago," she told me. "We were just trying to teach you a lesson. How dare you hurt him? You should have just died in prison." I remembered the hiss of the gas, the spark, bringing them with me, and then waking up here again, the day it all started. This time, I wasn't going to play along with their twisted story. I snapped back to the present moment, Khloe standing beside my desk, impatient. "What are you spacing out for? You're always begging to walk home with me. Fine, I'll let you, but we're taking the route I choose. My way." I clenched my fists under the desk, fighting off the urge for revenge. I forced my voice to stay flat. "You go ahead. I have to stay and finish some homework. I'll be home late." She blinked at me, surprised, then frowned. "But I'm kind of scared to walk that way by myself. Can't you just do me this one favor? Please." She pressed her palms together, her voice soft and cute in that practiced way she always used to get what she wanted. In my past life, I would have caved instantly. Now, it just made my stomach twist. She wasn't scared. She was setting up a chance to run into her crush, and I was supposed to be her prop. "Don't bother me," I said, eyes on my books. "I'm studying." She stomped her foot and stormed off. At 7 o'clock, I finished my practice exams and calmly packed my bag. As I walked out of the empty school, my phone rang. "Khloe." I hesitated for a moment, then hit record before picking up. "Leo, Kyle, and his guys have me cornered in the alley off Miller Street. I'm so scared." A bitter smile tugged at my lips. She'd gone there on purpose. Now she was calling me for help again. Was she acting out some drama for Kyle, trying to play coy? I wasn't doing this again. "Do you want me to call the cops?" I said. Silence. "No, don't worry," I continued, letting a thin layer of false concern coat my voice. "I'll bring the police to rescue you right away. Just tell me exactly where you are." Her voice shot up, frantic. "Kyle and I are friends. You don't need to get involved. If you dare call the cops or my parents, I will never speak to you again." She hung up. I stood there, staring at my phone, the weight of the injustice from my previous life crashing down on me. 10 years stolen. And for what? I saved the audio carefully. When I got home, my parents were waiting with dinner. I thought of how, in my last life, the stress and grief had aged them overnight. Gray hair, tired eyes, while they fought for me year after year. A lump rose in my throat. "You guys start without me," I said quietly. "I'll just wash up." I splashed cold water on my face, trying to steady myself before joining them. I had barely sat down when frantic knocking rattled the door. Khloe's mom burst inside, shoes still on, panicked. Where's Khloe? I thought she was with you. Why didn't she come home with you? I've been calling and calling. She won't pick up. What if something happened? I didn't know if anything had happened. But if it did, she'd chosen it. That wasn't on me anymore. I shrugged lightly. Mrs. Vance, you know she doesn't usually walk with me. We're practically adults. I can't force her. And college applications are coming up. I've got a lot to study. I don't really have the energy to worry about other things. She kept questioning me, but I played dumb, not wanting any part of their drama. And since a person has to be missing for 24 hours before filing a report, there was nothing she could do but go home and wait. After she left, my parents exchanged a curious look. I thought you always liked that Vance girl, my mom asked gently. That was before, I said. I'm over her now. All I wanted in this life was peace. Around 10, Khloe finally came home. She was a wreck, torn clothes, a new bruise on her face, red marks on her neck. Mrs. Vance dragged her straight into our house, fury written across her features. Leo, she snapped, Khloe called you for help. Why didn't you go? Now she's been assaulted by those thugs, and it's all your fault. I looked at Khloe, pretending to be shocked. Didn't you tell me not to get involved? She flinched and looked away. If you'd gotten there sooner to protect me, none of this would have happened. I didn't even know those guys. You don't know how helpless I was. Mrs. Vance's rage shot up another level. She lunged toward me, but my mom stepped in between us. Panting, Mrs. Vance pointed at me with a trembling finger. If you don't give me a proper explanation for what happened to my daughter today, this isn't over. I just stared at Khloe. She hid behind her mother, shooting me a tiny, desperate look, begging me to take the blame like I always had. Not this time. I pulled out my phone. Khloe's eyes widened in horror as I turned the volume up and played the recording. Her voice echoed through the room, clear and undeniable. Do you want me to call the cops? Kyle and I are friends. You don't need to get involved. If you dare call the cops or my parents, I will never speak to you again. Silence. I looked straight at Mrs. Vance. You heard her. She went to see a friend. I figured I shouldn't be a third wheel. Mrs. Vance went purple with rage. She whirled around and slapped Khloe across the face. Have you lost your mind? Getting involved with a punk like that? What future is that supposed to give you? I don't know those guys. Khloe screamed. He faked that recording. Then we'll call the police, I said calmly. Have them arrest this. What was his name again? King. Khloe's face drained of color. She grabbed her mother's arm. Don't you dare. If you do anything to hurt King, I'll jump off a bridge. My parents and I awkwardly tried to break up the screaming match. Eventually, we managed to get them back home. When our door shut, my parents sighed and went to bed. I put in my earbuds, blocked out the yelling next door, and did half an SAT practice test before going to sleep. The Vances never called the police. Khloe took a week off school. When she came back, she found me immediately. Her eyes were wet and trembling, full of fake hurt. Do you have any idea what I've been through this past week? You said you like me, so why didn't you just take the blame for me? For a moment, her face overlapped with old memories, times when I would have felt crushing guilt, given her all my toys, all my snacks, anything just to see her smile. But those days were gone. She went on, Kyle asked me to go to the arcade with him tonight. You need to cover for me with my parents. If you do, I'll forgive you. I glanced at her once, then turned back to my textbook. Not happening. You can explain it yourself. Her expression twisted with anger. She knocked my books off my desk as she stormed out. You're such a jerk. I thought avoiding her drama would let me focus on my studies. I was wrong. Kyle Kingston came after me. During lunch, he appeared in the crowded hallway with Khloe beside him. Listen up, Miller. Stay away from Khloe. She's mine. Then, with dozens of students watching, he grabbed Khloe by the neck and slammed her against the lockers. Gasps. Whispers. Someone ran off to get a teacher. Kyle shoved his mouth onto hers roughly. She cried out, covering her lips, a trickle of blood appearing. She hung limp in his grip, like a discarded rag. But her eyes were locked on me, silently begging. Kyle smirked at me, arrogant and possessive. You didn't know, did you? This is how she likes it. Rough. I didn't respond, not with the anger he expected. I just gave them a detached look. Yeah, well, congratulations. You two deserve each other. Kyle seemed irritated that I wasn't reacting the way he wanted. It was like losing face in front of Khloe made him short-circuit. He suddenly spun around and slammed his fist into the locker right next to her head. The metal dented with a loud, violent bang. You think you can compete with me? He snarled. I glanced at his knuckles, trembling, bleeding, and honestly felt nothing. I was done being pulled into whatever twisted show they were performing. Without another word, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Khloe's worried voice. Oh my God, your hand is bleeding. We need to get you to the nurse's office. I genuinely couldn't figure out what he was trying to prove. Someone must have reported the incident, because later the dean of students came to our class to investigate. Khloe, you don't need to be afraid, the dean said kindly. The school will support you. We won't let any student bully another. Some girls gathered around her, trying to comfort her, telling her it was okay. She could just tell them the truth. But Khloe completely denied everything, flat and emotionless. I wasn't being bullied. We were just messing around. You guys should mind your own business. So it was true. She really didn't mind being treated that way. The school eventually dropped the matter. Soon after, rumors spread that Khloe and Kyle were officially dating. While the rest of us were cramming for finals, Khloe started skipping classes. She dyed her hair a loud shade of red and wore heavy lipstick. She was turning into a stereotypical delinquent right in front of everyone. Our homeroom teacher, trying desperately not to watch her throw her life away, called her parents in. That evening, Mrs. Vance was knocking on our door again. Hey there, future in-laws. I wasn't surprised by the phrase. When we were kids, both families used to joke like that, calling each other in-laws. But as Khloe grew older, she started hating it. The Vances had specifically asked my parents to stop saying it years ago. So for her mom to use it now, so casually, could only mean trouble. Sure enough, a second later, Mrs. Vance got to the point. Our kids grew up together. They know each other inside and out. And with graduation around the corner, we really have to think about their future. Why don't we have Leo tutor Khloe for a bit? Everyone had seen how much Khloe had changed. My parents looked at me, unsure. I just spread my hands. Mrs. Vance, I have to study for my own exams. My schedule is packed. I don't have extra time to tutor her. She looked at me disapprovingly. How can you be so selfish? You two are going to build a family together someday. What's wrong with making a little sacrifice? I gave a dry, sarcastic laugh. Mrs. Vance, you shouldn't say that. She has a boyfriend. But then her next words made my blood run cold. Khloe's still young. That Kyle boy is not reliable. I'll never approve of him. When she comes to her senses, she'll come back. Besides, she went on, it's perfectly normal for girls these days to date a few boys before marriage. You're a boy. You need to be more generous. Don't be so old-fashioned. Old-fashioned? That was her angle? The image of Kyle choking Khloe against the lockers flashed in my mind, followed by her defending him. I felt sick. I raised my voice. I would rather stay single my entire life than marry Khloe Vance. Mrs. Vance frowned and pointed a finger at me. Getting jealous won't help. You should think about how to make her remember how good you are. You're not even married yet, and you're already trying to control who she sees. What's going to happen when you do get married? Is she not allowed to have male friends? That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. I pointed at the door. Please leave my house. Seeing I was serious, she left, grumbling under her breath. The three of us sat in silence for a long time after. The next morning, Khloe cornered me at school, furious. Why didn't you agree to tutor me? Now my mom signed me up for some weekend SAT prep course. I have no time to go on dates. Are you happy now? Go tell my mom you changed your mind and you'll tutor me. If you do, I won't hold a grudge about you being a jerk before. As if I would ever help her. I looked at her blankly. Impossible. Her face twisted like she wanted to explode, but then she forced herself to calm down. She even tried to smile, some sweet expression she must have practiced in the mirror. She reached out to hug me. "Leo, my sweet Leo, please help me. You always helped me when we were little. I'm begging you." But even as she tried to act innocent, the trashy vibe she'd picked up recently clung to her like smoke. I pushed her away, repulsed. "Graduation is right around the corner. I'm busy. Don't come looking for me anymore." Khloe snapped. "Leo, don't be an ungrateful prick. I'm practically begging you. What more do you want? All you do is study, study, study. Do you know why I don't like you? Because you're a boring nerd. You have no passion." I honestly didn't get it. How someone could mistake abuse for romance. My eyes flickered to the fading bruises on her neck. "You two are definitely hard to understand," I said coolly. I didn't tutor her. She still went on her date. That weekend, while I was studying, I heard a massive fight breaking out next door. What is so great about that Kyle kid? What has he done for you? He hits you. If you step out of this house, I swear I will disown you. Go ahead. Disown me. Just get out of my way. You don't understand me at all. All you do is tell me to study. You're nothing like Kyle. The ramen he makes tastes like the home I always wanted. And he hits me because he loves me. You're just an old fossil. You don't understand love. Get back here. Get back here right now. I shook my head, put my earbuds in, and returned to my review sheets. That night, my parents came home late. My mom spoke gently. "Khloe's mom collapsed today. She had a heart attack chasing after her. She's in the hospital." We heard Khloe ran off to meet that punk. She didn't care her mother was being rushed to the ER. She just left. That girl used to be so sweet. I don't recognize her anymore. Cruel. That was all I could think. For a moment, sympathy stirred, but then I remembered Mrs. Vance and her demands, and it disappeared. "A polite hospital visit is fine," I said, "but their family business has nothing to do with us." "That might be true," my dad sighed, looking at me with a strange, unreadable expression. But still, Khloe began staying out all night. She didn't even come home when her mother was discharged. She wasn't at school either. Time passed quickly, and before I knew it, finals arrived. Walking out of my last exam, a wave of relief washed over me. In my last life, I never got to take my finals, never went to college. This time, I'd finally made up for that regret. A week after graduation, Khloe finally came home. She was covered in bruises, and she was pregnant. My parents were out when Mrs. Vance showed up at our door, practically dragging Khloe with her. "Leo, honey, you two have been close since childhood. Please help me convince her to get an abortion. That Kyle boy is no good." Khloe burst into sobs. "Kyle is a monster. He brought another girl home and made me wait on them. If I complained, he'd hit me. He doesn't even care about the baby." Her eyes were sunken, ringed with shadows. Scratch marks lined her chin. Her once clear eyes were bloodshot, and she radiated the bitter air of someone deeply wronged. She seemed to hate Kyle, but I knew it was mostly for show. Otherwise, why keep the baby? Why refuse an abortion? I gave a noncommittal shrug. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions. Khloe's face brightened instantly. "See, Mom? Leo isn't an old-fashioned fossil like you. I already broke up with Kyle. You forcing me to get an abortion is crazy. It's my body, my choice. I'm keeping the baby because it's a life, an independent little life. A gift from God. No one has the right to kill him." I was speechless. Mrs. Vance's face drained of color. She clutched her chest, trembling. "You ungrateful child. Are you trying to kill me?" Khloe suddenly shifted into some kind of glowing maternal mode. "Mom, can't you feel the little life in here? Look, here, feel." She grabbed her mother's hand and pressed it against her stomach. Mrs. Vance flinched, turning even paler. "My pills, go get my pills now." She genuinely looked heartbroken. I saw Kyle a few times, standing downstairs from her apartment, looking like a wreck, calling her over and over, begging, leaving desperate voice messages. "Khloe, I'm so sorry. That girl meant nothing. I can't live without you. I'll prove it to you. One day, As Khloe was coming downstairs, Kyle suddenly punched the glass window of the security guard booth with his bare fist. The glass shattered. His hand dripped blood. "Khloe," he called, voice trembling with passion. "I told you I'd prove it to you. I did it, I did it." I was sitting on a bench nearby, trying to catch a breeze. I leaned toward the security guard. "Hey, is that glass bulletproof?" The guard blinked. "This ain't a bank, kid." "Why would it be?" So what exactly was Kyle trying to prove? The guard shrugged. "Beats me. But I know we got a security camera right there. That kid ain't going anywhere." While I was puzzling it out, Khloe ran toward him. "Kyle, you idiot. Why would you do that? You could just say you love me. Why do you have to prove it like this?" Kyle held her gaze, proud and unwavering. "Dummy. I told you. I had to prove it my own way." The security guard and I just stared at each other. So this was their version of romance. A grand gesture. A private love language only they understood. The two weirdos reconciled instantly. They were just about to head to the hospital to treat his hand when the security guard stepped in at the perfect moment. "That'll be $200 for destruction of community property." Kyle ended up paying the fine. Kyle noticed me standing beside the guard, and the moment our eyes met, he shot me a cold, murderous glare. Seriously? This violent idiot actually thought he could intimidate me. Fine. The debt from my past life had to be settled eventually. I bought a cheap burner phone and contacted a guy I used to know from my time in prison. He'd been locked up for running illegal gambling rings and loan sharking. For dealing with trash like Kyle, he was exactly the right man. Once everything was arranged, I snapped the SIM card in half and flushed it down the hotel toilet. Now, all that was left was to wait. There was still plenty of time before college started, so I took a short trip with some friends. Meanwhile, Khloe kept posting nonstop on Instagram. Everything happens for a reason. Her latest story was a picture of two hands clasped tightly together, each wearing rings woven from grass. I silently tapped like. Almost immediately, she messaged me. "Hey, Leo. King is starting a new business. It's a real money maker. Do you want to invest?" I almost laughed. What kind of money-making scheme could that simple-minded psycho possibly come up with? I'd already heard from classmates that he had gotten deep into gambling and lost a lot of money. He'd been begging anyone he knew for cash. Good. My plan was finally taking effect. A small smile tugged at my lips as I typed back. "Hope you guys get rich. I'm broke, so I'll sit this one out." Just then, my mom called. Her voice was hesitant. "Something's happened with the Vance family. Why don't you just stay on your trip for a few more days? Don't come back yet." I reminded her that if the Vances tried to borrow money, she should absolutely refuse. After hanging up, I felt a deep, almost peaceful calm settle over me. They were finally stepping into the abyss they had dug with their own hands. This was their true destiny. All I did was speed things up. I stayed away for another week. When I got home, I bought groceries and cooked dinner for my parents. They didn't come home until after dark, exhausted. Seeing dinner on the table shocked them. And then, over the meal, they told me what had happened over the past 2 weeks. A few days after I left, the Vance girl, Khloe, stole her parents' entire life savings. She claimed she was giving it to her boyfriend to start a business. Her mom ended up in the hospital from the shock. When her dad heard what happened, he took emergency leave and rushed home, only to collapse the day he arrived. No one knew where Khloe and that boy were. They weren't answering their phones. She put both her parents in the hospital, my mom said softly. I remembered Khloe's sappy Instagram posts and couldn't help but find the irony amusing. She had probably blocked her own family from seeing her stories. Eventually, the elder Vances were discharged. To thank my parents for helping them, they invited us over for dinner. Just as the food was being served, Khloe walked in. She looked destroyed. Her clothes were torn. She was bruised everywhere. She looked like she'd been beaten and dragged through the dirt. She collapsed to her knees, sobbing in front of her parents. "Mom, Dad, I was wrong. I shouldn't have stolen our money for that animal. He's not even human. He took the money and gambled everything away. And when he lost, he beat me. Every day. Mrs. Vance was trembling with rage, but she still knelt down and wrapped her arms around her daughter. "It's okay. You're home now. We can earn more money. Tomorrow, we'll go to the clinic and take care of the baby. We'll start over." Mr. Vance's face was a deep red. His disappointment was almost a physical weight in the room. "First," he said, "we deal with the baby." I had an uneasy feeling. Things were not going to be that simple. Sure enough, Khloe wiped her tears stubbornly. "No, I've decided to have this baby. That's my choice. It doesn't matter who the biological father is. You don't have to convince me." Silence swallowed the room. My parents stared at the tablecloth as if it suddenly held the secrets of the universe. Mrs. Vance calmly popped a nitroglycerin pill and washed it down with her soda. Mr. Vance's face turned a frightening shade of purple. He tried to speak, but eventually slumped into a chair. "I'm so sorry you had to see this," Mrs. Vance murmured to us. "We never ate dinner. My mom gave us a subtle signal, and we politely excused ourselves." Back home, my parents sighed. "That Khloe, she's gone so far down the wrong path. But at least she knows now. That's a good thing." I didn't agree. Khloe, admitting she was wrong? Not a chance. And I was right. A couple of days later, I saw Khloe downstairs whispering into her phone. "Don't hurt him. I'll pay what he owes. Just tell me how much. Give me a number." She spotted me and ran over, her eyes lighting up. "Leo, the debt collectors have king. Please come with me. And, can you lend me $20,000? If they don't get the money, they'll hurt him." I laughed coldly. What does him getting hurt have to do with me? And I don't have money. Without hesitation, she said, "That's easy. Ask your parents to borrow it. They love you so much, they'll do whatever you ask. And if that doesn't work, you can take out a loan." The entitlement in her voice chilled me. "Why don't you take out a loan?" I asked. "I can't pay it back. And I'm pregnant. How can you ask a pregnant woman to take out a loan? Leo, please. You've always helped me since we were kids. Help me one more time. King has hit rock bottom. I'm the only one who can save him. If I save him now, I know he'll be good to me forever. You want me to be happy, don't you?" She stepped closer, and the nausea hit instantly. I stepped away. "Don't come near me," I said coldly. "And don't try that routine on me." She froze, humiliation flickering across her face. Fine. I'll figure out the money myself. Just come with me? I'm scared. Going with her would be suicide. She'd sell me out without hesitation. I'm not going. If you want to save Kyle, you'd better hurry. Who knows if he'll even be alive when you get there." She ran back inside her building immediately, probably to get more money. The next morning, Mrs. Vance knocked on our door crying, "Do you know where Khloe is?" She took the deed to the house. I'm sure she went to help that good-for-nothing thug again. I didn't tell her father. I don't know how long I can keep lying. My mom spent a long time comforting her. Watching the Vances crumble, I felt nothing. In my last life, Khloe told them the truth, and they did nothing. They let me go to prison for something I was manipulated into. Feeling pity now would be betraying who I was. Khloe didn't manage to save Kyle. Instead, she got trapped too. Not long after, an explicit video started circulating in our old high school group chat. The woman in the video was Khloe. Several masked men were doing unspeakable things to her. One of them was Kyle. I recognized the scar on his hand. After that, gloom settled permanently over the Vance household. Mr. Vance quit his job and stayed in bed all day. Mrs. Vance wore sunglasses and a mask whenever she went out. She didn't even haggle at the market anymore. Meanwhile, my college acceptance letters arrived. I'd done well, got into a great local university, which meant I could come home on weekends to be with my parents. This time, I was going to be there for them. At my graduation party, Mrs. Vance came alone with a gift. "Future in-laws," she began. But my mom cut her off gently. "The kids were never meant to be. Let's not get involved." Right then, I saw the last bit of hope in Mrs. Vance's eyes disappear. Not long after college started, the bank foreclosed on their house. A friend told me what happened. The loan sharks had actually let Khloe go long ago, but she refused to leave. Kyle was pimping her out every day, living off her. But once her pregnancy became too obvious, the money dried up. My friend warned me that Kyle was looking for me. That malicious idiot still wanted to trap me. Soon after, Khloe showed up on my campus. She looked completely different. Hair dyed back to black, piercings gone, fake tattoos scrubbed away. She looked almost like her old high school self. She stared at the campus, watching the students rushing past. Leo, if I hadn't taken a wrong turn back then, do you think I could have been like them? My eyes drifted to her slightly rounded belly. After a pause, I gave a small smile. As long as you realize your mistakes, it's never too late to fix them. You still have your family. You can start over. Her eyes reddened. She turned to leave, but stopped at the gate. She looked back and held out a hotel key card. Kyle and I broke up. If you still like me, come find me tonight. At 10. The moment I took the key card, my heart froze. She still wanted to destroy me. I didn't feel even a shred of pity anymore. After she left, I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. Hello. I'd like to report an extortion scheme. A criminal organization is targeting me. At 10 p.m. that night, the police raided the hotel room. They found hidden cameras and arrested several men in the room next door, Kyle among them. Because of his prior offenses, he was sent straight to county jail. He was looking at 3 to 4 years easily. As for Khloe, she was pregnant, so they let her go with a stern warning. But as she was leaving the station, she missed a step, tumbled down the stairs, and fell unconscious. There was a pool of blood on the ground, and from the way it looked, the baby was already gone. I didn't go near her. I simply informed a police officer standing nearby and turned to leave. The officer didn't question me. He somehow understood. After all, Khloe had tried to set me up. Not everyone is capable of turning the other cheek. 2 weeks later, right after she was released from the hospital, Khloe called me. The moment I picked up, she exploded, screaming into the phone. It's your fault. You ruined my life. Why didn't you walk with me down that alley? How could you be so cruel? Wasn't killing me in our last life enough for you? You had to ruin this one too. So she remembered. She had awakened her past life memories. Let's meet, I said coolly, and hung up. We met at a coffee shop. I sat across from her and said calmly, last time I helped you. And you lied on the stand and sent me to prison. This time, I didn't help you. It seems perfectly logical, doesn't it? Khloe glared at me, furious. In our last life, Kyle loved me. It was perfect. And it's your fault for changing our destiny. That's why my life is miserable now. I stared at her, my gaze turning cold. I had been reborn too. I remembered everything. And listening to her blame me for her choices felt unreal. I wasn't involved in whatever toxic relationship you had with him, I said. Kyle is the one who treated you like garbage. He's the reason your life turned out this way. What does that have to do with me? For a moment, Khloe looked genuinely confused. Then she asked quietly, but why didn't he torture me in our last life? I thought back, really thought back, and answered her honestly, without emotion. That's because in our last life, I crippled him. He was always a monster. But once he was disabled, he couldn't hurt anyone. He had to rely on you to survive. Of course, he wouldn't dare treat you badly. Khloe tilted her head, processing. And then suddenly her eyes widened with a chilling realization. So, you're saying the only reason my life is miserable now is because Kyle isn't disabled yet? Are you telling me that if he becomes a cripple, he'll be good to me again? Even though I'd gotten used to her twisted logic, her conclusion still shocked me. My mouth twitched. If you insist on looking at it that way, I said slowly, then logically, you're not wrong. But I'm not suggesting you do anything. Khloe left after that. Later, a high school friend told me that her fall had caused severe internal bleeding. To save her life, doctors had performed a hysterectomy. She fell into a deep depression afterward. But then, she found a new purpose. She wanted to win back Kyle. She planned to wait for him the moment he got out of prison and shower him with affection. I couldn't help but let out a dry, humorless laugh when I heard that. I knew how Khloe's mind worked. Who could predict how things would go? During my senior year of college, Kyle Kingston was finally released from prison. Against her parents' wishes, Khloe secretly went to pick him up. They rented an apartment together. And from what I heard, he hadn't changed at all. He gambled. He hit her whenever he was in a bad mood. He even forced her into sex work to support his habit. And Khloe never resisted. It seemed there really was no cure for being lovesick. I felt a little disappointed by it all, but I didn't dwell on her life anymore. I focused on mine, finished my internship, and used my past life knowledge to invest in stocks I knew would explode in value. One day, I closed my trading app, ready to start a game, when a breaking news alert popped up on my phone. Woman suffering from long-term domestic abuse has psychotic break, drugs husband, and severs his Achilles tendons. The woman's face was blurred, but I recognized her immediately. It was Khloe. Since she was diagnosed with temporary insanity from prolonged abuse, she was sent to a psychiatric facility for mandatory treatment. She didn't face any criminal charges. As for me, I made a fortune in the stock market and quit my job to become a full-time investor. Sometimes, Khloe posts pictures on Instagram, showing off her happy relationship. Whenever I see them, I always make sure to tap the little heart. My career is taking off. She has her perfect love story. We both have bright futures ahead of us. I set down my phone, poured myself a glass of red wine, and raised it in a silent toast to the man I used to be. This life is a good life. 19 Epilogue Khloe Story. My name is Khloe Vance. I have a childhood friend who loves me more than anything. His name is Leo, and ever since we were kids, he's always done whatever I wanted. But lately, I don't know why he's been acting so difficult. Maybe it's because I fell in love with Kyle. I can't help it, I just don't like nice guys. Leo isn't my type. A real man should be like Kyle. Wild, brave, direct. He never hides how he feels about me. And the way he expresses it, so raw, so honest, it makes my heart race. He doesn't care what I think. He just kisses me whenever he wants. It's rough, but I don't mind. To me, that's what a man should be. One day, Kyle hinted he wanted to meet me in an alley. I was dying to go, but I hesitated. A girl walking alone with a boy at night. What if it looked improper? So I asked Leo to come with me, but he actually refused. And from that moment on, my life began to fall apart. Kyle wasn't a good man after all. He gambled. He cheated. He hit me. When he was deep in debt, he even forced me to sell my body. My parents begged me to get an abortion and leave him. I knew he was a black hole that would destroy me, but I couldn't control how much I loved him. Eventually, everything collapsed so hard that I remembered my past life. Suddenly, I understood why everything was going wrong. Leo had changed. I confronted him angrily, but somehow he twisted things around until I started doubting myself. Because, technically, he had never physically hurt me. So I made a decision. I would wait for Kyle to get out of prison. I would try my best to change him. And, if I couldn't change him, I would make him a cripple. That was my grand plan to save our love. In the end, it worked. Kyle now loves me to death. I finally have the love I always dreamed of. And Leo's career is taking off. Me and my childhood friend, we both have bright futures ahead of us.